on the developments.
Good afternoon and greetings to everybody here. The first votes in the 2021 municipal elections were cast from 8 today as voters who had applied for special votes began casting their ballots at voting stations and home visits around the country. Reports from provinces indicate that special voting got off to a steady start, with the vast majority of voting stations reporting being open and ready on time, and home visit teams deployed as planned. Provincial reports reflect that voting is underway, with a few exceptions where there were delays due to bad weather. Overnight storms blew away tents in Gauteng, the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and Northwest. But these were either reinstalled or replaced in time for the opening of voting stations. There were also a few incidents where landlords, in other words, people reneged on lease agreements for the use of voting stations. Alternative arrangements were made in time, and the voting process has not been hampered in any significant way. A record of 1.1 million applications for special votes were approved for these elections, 49% of which being home visits and 51% being votes to be cast at voting stations. As we know, special voting will take place today and tomorrow between 8 and 5 on both days. There are, however, 1,174 voting stations where no applications for special votes were received. These voting stations will therefore not be opening on both days of special votes. We have a report of an incident where the Commission was unable to open 8 voting stations. This was in Camberdown, KwaZulu-Natal, where community members are unhappy with matters related to traditional leadership. Given the record scale of the 2021 municipal elections, the Electoral Commission is highly satisfied with the start of special voting. Besides offering voters who cannot vote at the voting station on 1st November an opportunity to participate, special votes also provide the Commission with an opportunity to identify and resolve any challenges ahead of the election. The Commission wishes to indicate that it has made provision for pens at all voting stations. This will be sanitized after each use, given the need to avoid the infection of voters through the exchange of pens. However, where possible, voters are encouraged to bring their own pens. So there is no situation where there won't be any pens at the voting stations. Those have been provided by the Commission and will be available at all voting stations. Nonetheless, members of the voting public are encouraged, where possible, to bring their own pens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CEO. A very encouraging report indeed. I'm going to open the floor for questions. Identify yourself, and then let's make sure that we get these elections going. I'm already seeing 3 hands. If I may get my colleagues to assist us with providing journalists with the microphone.
Sinjanji Chauke from the SABC News Channel. I just want to want to get more information with regards to Camperdown, incidents at Camperdown. Just more clarity, those stations never opened at all, or did you make provision for people to still go and cast, do the special voting? Just give us more details with regards to that.
Okay. Let's go to the second one.
My name is Noni Mukati from Independent Media. It was mentioned that 8 voting stations were not open due to some unhappiness from community members. I would like to find out what contingency plans are being put in place to ensure that those particular voting stations do operate on Monday. And then in terms of just
there's one hand here. Let's get your volume, a little bit of volume there, yeah?
Just a follow-up to Noni's question. I'm not so sure if you're aware of the Eastern Cape. There are certain voting stations that weren't open due to service delivery protests. What contingency measures have been put in place, like Noni asked, around such voting stations? Will voters be able to vote tomorrow? I have received the reports, maybe from law enforcement agencies, because on Monday, the JCPS cluster had assured South Africans that all voting stations will be open throughout this weekend and no service delivery protests will be tolerated during the voting period. Thank you.
All right, let me allow the CEO to deal with those 3 questions, and then we'll take the last round of questions. Yes, we can do that, sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the question. We are aware of the service delivery protests in the Eastern Cape. Now, what is going to happen is that those voting stations have to open and will open because there are people in those communities who have applied for special votes, and those people are entitled, like all citizens, a right to participate in the election. So, working together with the security services, we should be in a position to get voting going in those areas. The weather. We've put plans together with the provincial disaster management teams to restore operations in the event that we are negatively affected by inclement weather in particular. Which is why, despite the fact that some tents were blown away in Northwest, KZN, Gauteng, we're able to restore those tents in time to resume operations. The Camperdown issue is related to disputes about traditional leadership. And communities supporting one of the traditional leaders, where there's dispute about who the authentic leader of that traditional community is. So there is mobilization against our process, and again, even then, working together with the security agencies, we should be able to open those voting stations because there are people who have applied for special votes, and those people are entitled to participate. So our contingency plans in respect of that is to open the station and have those stations function so that those that wish to participate may cast their ballots. So all these issues have been noted by the security agencies, and will ensure that between now and tomorrow, those people are serviced and their special votes received.
Let me take the last round of questions. I'm seeing 2 hands already.
Hi. Mr. Mahmoud, is there's a growing concern because for the first time in history of the country, we have an election day that's on Monday. Hence, you've got this long week. Some people, who've gone away on holiday, are not concerned, especially in regards to, the voting turnout of Monday. I know we've got 26.2 registered, 6.2 million registered people. But as a commission, not concerned about the voting turnout on Monday.
Thank you. I'd like to go back to a point that Mr. Mamabolo made earlier about just the incidents where landlords took that track on the leases at the 11th hour. This is concerning. What steps are being taken to ensure that this does not happen? Because I've never heard the special voting and people at the 11th hour change their mind. So I just wanted to find out what steps are being taken against these landlords, and are you anticipating any further incidents such as these? Thank you.
If there's no other question, I'm going to allow Mamabolo to answer the 2 questions, and then we'll be ready to see you.
The issue of voter turnout is a perennial concern of the Commission. We are always concerned about voter turnout because we want, as the Commission, to avail an opportunity so that the maximum number of South Africans participate in the elections, which is why we've provided for facilities for voters to vote with ease. So you are right again in saying this may be a long weekend and people may have traveled yesterday and so on. Our call is that if you have traveled, please do come back to your voting station on time because you won't be able to vote anywhere else than in the voting district in which you are registered. Unlike in national and provincial election where you have an opportunity to vote outside of your district, on this occasion that won't be possible. So all those who may have traveled have until tomorrow really to travel back into places where they are registered, where they are ordinarily resident, and we want to encourage them to come back and take advantage of the facilities that we have availed for them to take part in shaping the local affairs of their communities. The landlords who have reneged at the last minute, it's a concern, but it's not a matter that requires us to take legal action. We will be talking to those landlords. The important thing and our primary focus at the moment is to get operations going. Is to get alternatives and get the operations going so that we are not disrupted. I think that's our position at the moment, and it's not a prevalent phenomenon. It's an isolated incident. And our focus, as I say, is to re-establish operations and get going with the electoral process.
I see an NCO, the very last one. After that, I'm wrapping up.
Apologize, we have a question, an online question from Sylvia at ENCA. And the question reads as follows. In Alexandra, materials such as PPEs and candidate lists were not available for more than 3 hours after the voting stations opened. Why was this the case? Will they be avoided tomorrow on voting? Will they availed tomorrow on voting day? And how many stations were affected? Thank you.
Is that the only question from online so that we deal with that general?
That's the last one.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, CEO.
No, there's enough personal protection equipment that we've procured for all the 185,000 staff who will be working at voting stations. So if in some voting stations in Alexandra they did not receive that, it's an aberration that can be corrected through our normal logistical operation. It is not a plan not to provide PPE. We have enough in stock, and that shouldn't be a problem. We'll intervene through our network of logistical operations to ensure that everybody has the PPE that they need to operate the voting stations.
Thank you so much, CEO. Sis, I'm closing.
Charlotte Kibali from EWN would like to know, is the IEC aware that some people were not accepted for home visits who applied due to system glitches? We know 2020 in at least 2 cases this has happened where husbands and wives who registered together were null and void.
Come again on the last point.
They were saying that they know of 2,000 people in 20 who were then denied special votes because of system glitches.
No, it's 2,000 sounds a bit of an exaggerated figure. But here's the principle. You have to be registered on the voters' roll first for you to be able to access a special vote. So if you were not registered for whatever reason, the special voting dispensation does not avail to you. So the first threshold, therefore, is to be on the voters' roll, and once you're on the voters' roll, you can make an application for a special vote. People who may have experienced technical glitches and who came to the station during the registration weekend of the 18th and 19th of September, those people, provision has been made for them. They'll be able to vote because a person who has proved that they visited the station on the 18th and 19th, but perhaps they are not on the voters' roll, those people are entitled to vote in terms of Section 7 of the Municipal Electoral Act. So no one who has genuinely came to a station will be disenfranchised because of technical glitches. Those people have been recorded and lists have been prepared for that purpose and captured on the voter management devices. Thank you very much.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's leave it at that. We'll keep in touch on our social media pages and any other communique. But so far, so good. Our country is voting. Thank you, CEO.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.